Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news this Monday morning, the start of a new week. And look, it's no secret that Ralf Rangnick wants Manchester United to appoint Erik ten Hag, but he's gone further than that. He's come out with a 4-point plan as to how Manchester United rebuilds this football club. And look, I think Ralf Rangnick has spoken a lot of sense since he's come to Manchester United. But on this, we should all be listening to the things that he's identifying, because this is what Ralf Rangnick's appointment for me was all about. It was about his intelligence and experience on how to rebuild the club. It was never about, can he get his top 4 in 4 months with these bag of crap players? It was about what he thinks we need to do over the next 4 years to become relevant again. So we'll talk about that. Also, Pochettino's spoken after PSG's win last night about his future. Rangnick also spoke about Rashford. We'll talk about that. Couple of transfer stories about Ruben Neves, potentially going to miss out on him, and more stories about how United are just missing out on targets now because they haven't sorted out who their manager's going to be. And a story about Christian Eriksen potentially coming to Manchester United as well, and a little bit on Erik ten Hag. So absolutely loads to get into this morning. Hope you're all doing reasonably well. Obviously United may not be making you feel that great, but lots to get into. Can I just shout as well, I've pinned it at the top of the chat, if you want to become a United Stand member, promising this for the last couple of weeks, got some big changes coming to our membership club today, this week. So if you want to get in as a member, click that link and join the members club. You get exclusive badges next to your name when you're in the chat. We've got exclusive content coming in for the members as well, and perks as well. So now is the time to join the United Stand members club. Thank you very much for your support, and obviously we will be using that support to make the channel even better. So thank you very much for the TUS Ultras, should I say. Anyway, let's get on with the show. And we're going to start off with Ralf Rangnick. These are direct quotes from him talking about what he believes Manchester United need to do. And ultimately, it's just pure common sense coming from him again. As I said, Erik ten Hag, Ralf Rangnick is who Erik ten Hag wants. I keep getting mixed up with Erik ten Hag and Ralf Rangnick. We're talking about Ralf Rangnick here and what he wants. But Ralf Rangnick wants Erik ten Hag as the manager. This is no secret. Everybody knows about it. Romano's talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. If it's a choice between the two, welcome to Catherine, member of the United Stand Members Club. Thank you. If it's a choice between Pochettino and ten Hag, then Ralf Rangnick is firmly in the corner of Erik ten Hag. But this is what Ralf has had to say. Basically, he said that both Manchester City and Liverpool, they are two teams that have built together and recruited over a period of 5 or 6 years. All of them under the premise of how do the coaches want to play. I've told the board this is what to happen. I mean, look, Ralf Rangnick is a very clever guy and he's built football clubs. The amazing thing is that he has to spell out something that's very obvious to the fans. Ralf Rangnick is saying, look at Liverpool and Manchester City. They've built success over the last 5 or 6 years by building a team around what the manager wants and sticking to it. Not keeping players because the board want them for social media. Not buying players because they'll sell a lot of shirts. Ultimately, what Man City do is if Pep Guardiola says, I don't want Harry Kane, I want this Alvarez from Argentina that nobody knows much about, the board buys him Alvarez. Man United's board would buy Harry Kane because Alvarez, they don't know who it is. And that's basically what Rangnick's saying. If you want success, listen to me on how to build success and stop sticking your head into like brand deals and brand signings and recruitment and retention of players because you spent a lot of money on them. He also says it takes right decisions and where you want to go, what kind of players you want, what kind of manager you want, and then in every transfer window, try to get the best possible. And again, this is something where we can consistently see Manchester United fail. Last summer would be a prime example. There's plenty more. Rangnick says it's about what kind of players you want and what kind of manager you have, and then in the transfer window, getting the best out of that window. Did we get the best out of the window last year? I feel like Ollie was sort of led by Woodward into the toy shop and really wanted a certain toy, and Ed was like, do you want this one instead? Oh yeah, I will. Yeah, it was a mess. Yes, we got Ronaldo. Yes, we got Varane. Yes, we got Sancho. There's no doubting those 3 players are absolutely incredible. But it wasn't a centre defensive midfielder, and that's what Rangnick's saying. It's about making sure you have the best transfer window possible. That wasn't the best transfer window possible. Some people gave it a 10 out of 10 because we brought Ronaldo home. and we got Varane and we got Sancho, but I gave it a 7 because I said we didn't get what we needed. The priority signing was a CDM, and that's what Rangnick's talking about. It's about getting what's best for the team, not what's best for your brand exposure. And he said this is all possible at Manchester United. This is not rocket science, which is right. It has to be done, and if that happens, it does not necessarily need 3 or 4 years of a rebuild, maybe 2 or 3 transfer windows. Then the situation could be very different. And I think that, Just to stop at that point for a moment. Oh, we've had 3 new members as well. Welcome to TJ, Ben Meekins and Nick. Thank you very much for joining. You will be getting some very interesting content as members later on in the week. I also just want to say as well, Alan, I was going to talk about it sooner, but you've put it in the chat, so we'll do it now. Sad news about Louis van Gaal, former Manchester United manager who has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. I'm sure every Manchester United fan, every football fan is wishing Louis all the best. Look, he would understand it as much as anybody. When you're in the football game, you're there to be praised, you're there to be criticised, and we had some very up and down times with Louis van Gaal, and it was certainly entertaining. Ultimately, he won us an FA Cup. I mean, I suppose, look, it's very sad news about Louis van Gaal, and hopefully he can find a way through this. But he does have the full support of the United fan base, as any ex-player or manager would do in the circumstances where this is a life-threatening illness. But the time can be kind, and Louis van Gaal's legacy at Manchester United, he did need to be sacked. I was completely behind that, but his last game was an FA Cup win. We would probably build a statue for him now. We've not won a trophy for nearly 6. We're coming up for 6 years. So yeah, all the best to Louis van Gaal. Welcome to the members club, Venki, and lovely to see the nice chats in the comments there as well. Yeah, I mean, look, we could talk about that. Maybe we should talk about that at some point about Louis van Gaal. But we're in a well, we're talking about wishing him all the best, but I mean about we sacked a manager who won the FA Cup. At the time, it was the right decision, but it just shows you how far we've fallen now, because there's no way we'd sack a manager for winning an FA Cup. But it was the right thing to do at that time. Devansh and Ian, thank you very much for joining the members club. But look, just going back to what Ralf Rangnick said there, he's absolutely spot on. We do need a vision that is consistent and about the team. And I think when he talks about the club it taking 2 or 3 transfer windows instead of 3 or 4 years, I think it will take 3 or 4 years. But if he thinks it will take 2 or 3 transfer windows, then you need to give him that opportunity, because to be honest with you, I would be saying to the board right here, right now, this mess is going to take 3 years to sort out. If Rangnick thinks he can do it in 18 months with the right appointments, I mean, that is quicker, cheaper, more productive. So crack on with it. He did also mention as well that it's about the type of thing that Manchester United need that they're missing. It's about the DNA, it's about the speed, it's about the physicality, and it's about the tempo. Long-term transfers, etc., and a vision. But one of the things he did mention as well that I did want to bring in, welcome to Members Club RS, he mentioned that, and it was tweeted out last night, he mentioned that Manchester United have got a lot of technical players, but they need technical players with the physicality as well. And I thought this was really interesting from Rangnick, because I disagree with him. I don't think we have got a lot of technical players. I think we've got 5 technical players that I would take into that are at the level we need to be, and Jadon Sancho would be an example of a technical player that's at the level that we need to be. I think there's probably 4 or 5 others. The rest of I think we've got 4 or 5 players that are physical but don't have the technicality, and I would say Scott McTominay is a physical player, but he doesn't have the technique. And then I think we've got probably 10 players that don't have the technique and don't have the physicality, and I would put someone like Lingard there. So I actually disagree with Ralf. I think he's over-egging the pudding. I don't think we have a squad that's full of technical players that don't have the physicality. I think we have a complete lack of technical players. We have physical players with no technicality, and we've got players with no technicality and no physicality as well. I think that playing squad's a mess. And maybe Ralf can't come out and say that at this pivotal point of the season, but he would know. 4 or 5 technical players are enough, says Emma. Mate. Yeah, are you having a laugh? 4 or 5 technical players is enough to win a Premier League title. Are you having a fucking laugh? You need about... Man City have got about 20. Liverpool have got about 20. Like, what are you talking about, 4 or 5? 4 or 5 is enough to stay up. Like, we please, talk. I know it's Monday morning, you might have just woken up. 4 or 5 technical players is not enough for Manchester United. You look at the team of 99 and 08, that was a team full of technical players. Even people like Wes Brown had understood the game technically. They understood get the ball, play the pass, make the move. When I'm talking about technical players, I'm talking about players that can receive a pass, know where they're going to go, know where to position themselves. I think people think technical players is somebody who can get hold of the ball, skin somebody and put it in the top corner. That's an element of technical players, but a technical player can be someone like Michael Carrick, who doesn't need to slide tackle because he knows how to read the game. He can position himself in spaces. He can take the ball off the back four and play a 40-yard pass as well as he can play a 5-yard pass. That's technical. Technical is intelligent, basically. Intelligent footballers who know what they're doing. We've got a real lack of that, and I think Rangnick's miles off. Maybe he's just trying to be a little bit positive. But, I mean, look, players off the top of my head, Cristiano Ronaldo is obviously a technical player. He's one of the greatest players there's ever been. I think Rafael Varane is a very good technical player. I think Sancho's a good technical player. I think Pogba's a good technical player. I think Bruno's got it in him. And then beyond that, I'm scraping the barrel. Cavani probably is as well. But we're going to lose 2 of them players. Beyond those 5 or 6 players, I don't think we've got top-level technical players at Manchester United. I really... You can't put Fred in that equation. He's not technical. I mean, his ball control, he tries hard, but he's not. You wouldn't describe him as a top-class technical player. So, look, what Rangnick said there, I think, is absolutely spot on. And it feeds into what we were saying at the start. Ralf Rangnick certainly does want... Ji-Sung Park was the best of both worlds, says Raz. Yeah, technicality with physicality. We do lack physicality in the squad. I agree with Rangnick there. But all those encompassing things that he said, like he says, it's not rocket science. He's got the vision. He's got the experience to rebuild this club. He wants Erik ten Hag. For me, that is the next step for Manchester United, that they get this Erik ten Hag appointment done, keep Rangnick involved and rebuild this football club in the way that that Ralf Rangnick has just said in the things that we've just discussed there. That's where Manchester United need to go, and we will see if they go down that path, because as we were talking about yesterday, there is rumours that Manchester United will not listen to Ralf Rangnick and will listen to people who have been making bad decisions at that football club for the last 9 years. Apparently there was a bit of an altercation at Old Trafford on Saturday between Darren Fletcher and a fan. I mean, that you don't want to hear anything like that. But Ralf Rangnick himself, the media and many others have questioned what Mike Phelan and what Darren Fletcher are actually doing at that football club. And if we're listening to people like that over Ralf Rangnick, we're in for a world of pain. Pochettino came out last night and said that he doesn't want to talk about his future, etc. He's focused on this season. I'm not going to get into the whole Pochettino versus Erik ten Hag thing. I think we should be beyond that. Erik ten Hag should be our manager. But ultimately, if we bring Pochettino in, I've never been so convinced as I was when we appointed Moyes that this is going to end in pain. It might be 3 years of pain, but it will end in pain. He is not going to deliver a title or a major trophy or anything different from what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did. And remember, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took us to a Europa League final. He took us to semi-finals. That is the peak of what Pochettino will bring, and it will just be 3 years wasted. There's a real opportunity here to ignore people like that we've listened to in the past, listen to people like Ralf Rangnick, bring Erik ten Hag in, and give this a proper go. Because the vision is there, it's mapped out. It's for United to open the door and walk through that. Ferhat says, what do you think we as fans can do to put pressure on the board? It's sad to see our club in such incompetent hands, says Ferhat. I think at the moment many Manchester United fans are just waiting to see what happens over the next few weeks in relation to the appointment of the manager. I think if they get it wrong, there are rumblings. I think we're approaching a year anniversary of the Super League. I think there's frustration around the shares and everything else that the Glazers promised. And I think there is rumbling. There's talks of protests again. I don't personally think that that's the way to go. I think the way to go is to try and, remove the Glazers by finding a viable option to buy this club. You look at Chelsea, where people are queuing up to buy them for billions of pounds. There must be people that we can... spark some interest in buying Manchester United, and the fan base get behind them people and try and force the Glazers out that way. Protesting without a viable alternative, for me, it's great, but what's it going to do? You probably get another Zoom call from Joel Glazer where he promises something else for a year. We know what the tactic of Manchester United is. Can't get much lower than the Super League. Protests, games being cancelled, it's all over the world news. What did the Glazers do? Let's have a Zoom call. We'll promise you this, this and this. We don't deliver on it, and 12 months later people are unhappy again. A protest will just lead to another Zoom call, another chat, and ultimately I think we need another viable option. We need another buyer, because ultimately that it's called a coup, isn't it? You get a viable buyer that the fans want, who's got the money, who wants to buy the club, and then you put pressure on the club to sell. And that's when your protests and things make sense, but we haven't got another viable option at the moment. Going back to the immediate thing about United, we know we've got some really difficult games to come. We've got on Anfield, we've got Goodison Park at the weekend, we've got Emirates, we've got Chelsea to play. We're 7th in the league. If you didn't, I mean, look, I'm much improved from last night. Thank you very much. I was a bit pale on the show last night, if you haven't watched it. But we did do it at the end of the show where we predicted we would finish. Ricky said 7th, Adam said 7th, Beth said 7th, I said 6th. 7th is the Conference League. I'm in the minority thinking we'll end up in the Europa League. We could end up lower than 7th. This season has the potential to get even worse, which to many of us is completely and utterly unbelievable that this season could get any worse. But it could get worse. We could be on the end of at least another 2 bad losses. I think that's coming in. Dave, welcome to the Members Club, and Jason as well. Thank you very much. We could be on the end of a few more losses. And ultimately, if I bring in another news story this morning, I think it's David Ornstein who said that Ruben Neves and Moutinho look like they're going to leave Wolves this summer, and Wolves are looking at Polina, which is a Sporting Lisbon midfielder that many of us wouldn't mind United looking at. Well, this is just, I mean, you can't moan about... One thing I would agree with. Walter, welcome to the Members Club. Thanks everyone who's joining. One thing I would say is that we can't buy everybody. And I think sometimes we get over moody about, oh, another player we've missed out. Oh, look, Kessie's gone to Barcelona. I don't think United were ever looking at Kessie. He's the sort of player I would like, sort of player you would like. But we can't moan about every player we miss out on because you can't get everybody. But it is starting to get to the point now where we're missing out on players that really would be viable options for Manchester United. And if that story from David Ornstein is true, that Ruben Neves is going to go to Barcelona and Wolves are going to replace him with Polina, well, that's a good deal for Wolves and it's a good deal for Barcelona in a midfield spot that Manchester United need. And whether we want Polina or whether we want Ruben Neves, and let's not forget, Ruben Neves was a player we were looking at last season. Fabrizio said he was on the list, he was in the top 3. If that top 3 included Declan Rice, Ruben Neves, and I can't remember who else it was, somebody in the chat will let me know, it certainly wasn't Tchouameni, well, there's another target gone. Well, the Telegraph have come out and reiterated it this morning that Manchester United are finding it difficult to progress transfers because they haven't got a manager, and the players are saying, well, who's the manager? It's a very big difference if I want to join Man United and are you getting Ten Hag or are you getting Pochettino? It's a big difference. It's a big difference for the fans, so it's going to be a bit. You've got to give credit. Imagine Man United have approached Neves will go and United will panic buy, says Slow Sports News. Well, let's just... I always think it's always good to run it through in a story. So let's imagine I'm Ruben Neves, right? Man United ring me up and they say, we really would like to sign you. And Ruben Neves says, well, who's the manager going to be? Well, look at the papers. It's going to be probably going to be one or the other, isn't it? Okay. Barcelona want me. I know who the manager is. It's Xavi. It's a really exciting project. Their project has started. I think next season they're going to challenge for the Champions League. Obviously, I'm never going to do that at Wolves. Barcelona, in Spain, big club. I mean, I'm convinced. I like Man United. I'd like to play for Manchester United. I think the project's interesting. But what is the project? Well, read the papers. Well, no, hold on a minute. If it's Pochettino, I know what he did at Spurs. I know what he's done at PSG. I read the papers, I know what your fans think. I think that could get quite toxic quite quickly. I'm not sure I want to be there when I can be at a positive place like Barcelona. But if you're getting Erik Ten Hag, I read the papers, fans seem to want him, very exciting style of football, could be the start of something really epic. Who's your manager? Well, we're not going to tell you that. Okay, I'm off to Barcelona. And this is a reality that some of our fans don't seem to get. We had it last week where they're like, well, I think the club are right to take the time. I think the club are right to take the time and make sure they get the right decision. They're wrong. They're wrong because they've known since November. They've known for 6 months we needed a manager. And we're now in April and we're missing out on players. And Ruben Neves may never have been coming to Man United. He may not want to come to Man United. He may dream of going to Barcelona. But that scenario I've just spelt out there, and Polina replacing him, who's another midfielder that some people think might be suitable for United, we will miss out on these players because other clubs are making moves. And this is well known across the media at the moment that United are not making moves on players that they should be because they haven't sorted out who their manager's going to be. And I would say, to be honest with you, I will still say this, I think it's appalling, absolutely appalling that we are into April, they are still saying with their chest, we are going through a really thorough process. We're not in a rush. We're taking our time. Well, basically, it's like being in an all-you-can-eat buffet with 100 hungry people, and you're stood there going, do I want fish and chips? Do I want a salad? Oh, maybe a nice curry. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll go for the beef chow mein. Or you know what? God knows what I'm going to have for dessert. Let me think. And whilst we're doing that, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle, they're piling in. They're taking all the good food. You know what we're going to end up with? Scraps. That's what we're going to end up with. We're dithering over a decision. I personally think, in the absence of any clarity, they're absolutely shitting themselves, because they do want to appoint Pochettino, but they know the backlash, and they know they need to appoint Ten Hag, but they're like, oh, we really would love Poch. Let's give it a bit of time, and maybe the wind will change. Let's speak to our media journalist friends. Can you spin it? We're trying our best. We're getting abused, man. We're getting abused. We keep printing these lies about Pochettino's record, and we're just getting abused. Can we tap into some of the ex-players? Hey, Sunshine, I've tried as well. I'm getting abuse as well. They can't. I think the delay is they are trying to find a way to appoint Pochettino, even though I must concede Erik Ten Hag looks like the landslide favourite. Why the delay? Why the delay? I mean, I know that if you tell Erik Ten Hag he's got the job, I mean, there was a journalist last night saying that he's very close to getting the job. And I know if you tell Erik Ten Hag he's got the job, it will leak. But it doesn't mean you have to do it officially. Fabrizio Romano could come out and go, here we go, deal done with Erik Ten Hag. And the club could just say, at this moment, we're not commenting on anything. And Ajax could say the same and just let it drift for 3 weeks. I mean, is it not the same as any other transfer we've done that's took ages? Remember Paul Pogba? Paul Pogba, we were basically told that Man United were signing Paul Pogba at the end of June. It wasn't officially announced till the end of July. Harry Maguire went on for 6 weeks. Wan-Bissaka went on for 6 weeks. Bruno went on for all of January. If it came out now, Erik Ten Hag is basically deal done, then Man United could just leave it. And look, also, I don't think Romano could come out and tweet, here we go, unless it was signed. But it can basically be deal done bar the signing. You know, it's a bit like without a medical, isn't it? I just think if we had that, we could be talking to players about who the manager's going to be. Just let it be there in the media for a month. Like, let it be known that United are getting Ten Hag without it being official. United could do that, but they've not even done that. That's the scary thing. We shouldn't sign any player without a manager in place. If we get Ten Hag, he needs to authorise someone for his system, says Mark. Welcome to the Members Club, Michael. And Mark, could Ralf mean players unable to play intense football for 90 minutes when he says they lack physicality, says Kartik? Yes. I think that's a great point by Kartik. And I think that some people think that when Ralf Rangnick has spoken about United lacking physicality, we're talking about lacking Fellaini's and people are getting frustrated. I don't think he's talking about that. I think he's talking about, you know, your De Jongs and people like that. The technical players who can press and I mean, Mo Salah would be a physical player. You don't think he is, but Mo Salah would be exactly the sort of player that that Ralf Rangnick is talking about. It's not physicality like Tyson Fury, you know, big and powerful. It's that ability as well. I mean, look, just very quickly before I carry on about the transfer stuff, there was some more comments from Ralf Rangnick that I wanted to bring in. He said there are quite a few examples this season of players, some are still with us and some who are no longer here, who have shown that it's possible to develop within a couple of weeks a level of confidence where you can be a different player again. And I think he's talking about Sancho, certainly, Fred as well. There's not many examples at United, but I also think he's talking about Donny van der Beek, because people think that Donny van der Beek at Everton has not done well, but he has done well. He's been a bit unlucky with injury. He's been a bit unlucky with the team that he's playing with. But Donny van der Beek has been a completely different player at Everton to what he was at United, with a bit of confidence. He then spoke about Rashford. He says, in the end, he has to do it himself, obviously. But the only thing we can do is speak to him regularly and tell him what we expect from him and what he should do. The rest has to be done by himself. I would absolutely applaud that from Ralf Rangnick. It's exactly what we've been discussing about Maguire and a few other players as well. These players who are not performing well need to remove these people, and then he said something else, these people around them, whether it's family members, agents, friends, they're basically leeches. they are leeching off your fame. Would these people be around you if you were going to work an Aldi or HSBC or whatever? No, they wouldn't. You'd see them at the weekend for family gatherings. They are around you telling you great because they're making money off you. No one, it's fame to them. Oh, you're great. Don't listen to the haters. You're fantastic. But actually, to be an elite sportsman, you need to look in the mirror and go, you know what? All this criticism I'm getting, I'm not playing well. And that's what Rangnick's saying about Rashford there. It's down to him. I don't know Rashford personally. I don't know what he's got around him as an entourage. But whether it's Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford or any other United player, we all know there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of hype, they're all winning team and all this bollocks. The reality is, nobody can tell me that this is wrong when I say these players that are not playing well for United this season, the criticism they've got is 100% valid in relation to the way they've played in a shirt. They've done themselves an absolute disservice. They've disrespected the club. They've disrespected the fans. And there's absolutely nobody to blame apart from themselves. And there's nobody can change it. And if people are giving you critiques or booing you or anything like that, that's because you're not playing well. But you control the criticism because you generate the criticism with your poor performance. If you start playing well, that criticism will turn into praise. And I think that's basically what Ralf Rangnick's saying. It's what many of us have said. And he said that with Rashford, it's no secret that he's not having his best time right now. It has to do with rhythm and confidence as well as, again, it's our job to help him to get his confidence back. And that is why I decided to bring him on. Look, I think Rangnick has received some criticism for the way that he's dealt with the Marcus Rashford thing. Personally, I'm at a point now, if Rangnick's going to get criticised by ex-players in the media for not picking Rashford, just stick him in at Anfield and see what happens. See what happens at Goodison Park. Let's see if he's suddenly going to start playing well. Because the reality is, I think Rangnick's tried starting him, he's tried benching him, and we're not getting any improvement. And, he's out of the England squad. So even Southgate's not picking him now. So the proof is there for everybody. He's not playing well at the moment. And only he can change it, and I think Ralf is absolutely correct about that. And it's one thing for players to say, I'm not joining Man United because you haven't sorted out who your manager is, and I think that is currently happening with players. But it's not acceptable for people who are earning a lot of money at this club, have been at this club for at least since last summer, to be downing tools and going, I can't be arsed. And that's what we saw on Saturday, it's what we saw at the Etihad. In recent weeks, we've seen too many United players who are downing tools, and I think it's absolutely unforgivable how they've behaved. And I think it's so important now that United bring the right manager in, because I don't think if you bring Erik ten Hag in, this fan base will just be 100% behind anything that he does. Anything that he does, I think. The only players he could sell that people might go, wow, would be probably Ronaldo or a David De Gea or a Varane. And some people might agree with that, but a majority wouldn't. But if he walked in and went, right, Wan-Bissaka's gone, Harry Maguire's gone, McTominay's gone, Rashford's gone, even dare I say it, which it won't happen, Bruno's gone, I think people would go, well, whew, that's harsh, but this is what it's all about. This is about change, and harsh change as well, ruthless change, which needs to happen. And I suppose as well, talking about Bruno as well, Manchester United have just given him a massive new contract. What does that mean? What was Bruno told about who the manager's going to be? What was the new manager? We don't even know who the new manager's going to be. And I think Rangnick has probably indirectly had a bit of a pop at United by saying, look at what Man City and Liverpool do. They've recruited over the last 5 or 6 years in a vision of their manager with full support and backing on what that manager wants. What have we done last week? We've handed a 5-year contract to a player that will be in his early 30s on 250 grand a week, and we haven't even consulted who the new manager's going to be because we haven't even appointed a new manager. Imagine if I am the new manager of Man United and I walk into training that first day in July and I watch Bruno Fernandes firsthand, because it's different to watching him on the TV or watching him as an opponent. I watch him firsthand and I go, at best, he's a bench player for me. The way he plays just doesn't suit me. And the board go, well, he better suit you because we've just given him a 5-year deal on 250 grand a week. it's all a big mess. And I understand why the club have had to do it. They probably needed to get that contract done a year ago. But it goes back to what I said. We knew Solskjaer was sacked in November. We are now in April and we have no replacement. And I'll go back to what I said. I really do think they thought they were going to get Pochettino. And I think what's happened is it's thrown them how much there is an opinion that Pochettino should not be our manager. I think if Pochettino was doing well, they might have appointed him by now. But we will wait and see. We'll see. But they've wasted too long. They've taken too long, and we're now missing out on players. We've got this massive uncertainty. I will stick by what I said yesterday morning. I think if we'd appointed Erik ten Hag over the international break, you'd have seen a very different United on Saturday. I'm appalled by how we performed on Saturday. It was a testimonial for Harry Maguire. That's what it was. That game and the atmosphere was just like a testimonial. It didn't feel like... I think the fans wanted to applaud the team and Harry to give some support, which is great. But ultimately, if they hadn't had to do that or didn't want to do that, I think we'd have a very different atmosphere, which was you lost to Atletico Madrid, get out and give us a bit of a performance. But I think that... I almost think, and I was speaking to a couple of fans who were at the ground, they were like, the atmosphere was great, but it probably didn't help because the club, these players have not delivered this season. They came out to big applause and they let us down again. And actually, they probably needed a little bit more of an edgy atmosphere in the ground to give them a bit of a boot up the arse. And it was just it turned into a very pathetic performance from United, where they were applauded onto the pitch and they didn't replicate that support, and they were just going through the motions and like it was a testimonial. And then you look at the way that Spurs play, and I'm sure Arsenal tonight and Liverpool and Man City, and they're up for business, and United are just like just shocking, absolutely shocking. There's so few players in that squad that you'd go, yeah, I'm with them. Me personally, even some of my favourite players, I'm like, you know, which players on load are technical and physical. We seriously need to evaluate up and coming players in the team before spending big bucks on Rice, especially if Erik ten Hag joins his track record of developing youngsters as Axel Allen. I mean, look, let's just talk about this story. There's a story this morning about Christian Eriksen coming to Manchester United, and look, I'm over the moon that Christian Eriksen is back playing football. I think most of us were watching that Euros game last summer, that Saturday afternoon. And it was a life and death moment. I don't think many of us expected him to be back playing football again. And certainly Eriksen is a really good quality player, whether it's at Spurs or for Denmark or for Inter. He's doing fantastic things for Brentford. I think he's been the kickstart that will keep Brentford up. Is he a player that Manchester United should be looking at? No. And nothing to do with his health condition, because I think that's absolutely fine. That's why he's back playing. But I was dubious about Christian Eriksen joining United 3 or 4 years ago from Spurs. I don't want Christian Eriksen at Manchester United on a free deal at 30 years of age. But this is the scary thing. This might be the sort of deal that United have got to do now, because we're not in the Champions League. We're not a contender, and maybe this is the sort of value for money deal we're going to have to do. And look, Christian Eriksen's not going to come into the team and be any less frustrating than Bruno Fernandes. This is a guy that Spurs fans will tell you struggles to beat the first man from a corner. He's a really good player, but to me it's just another Cavani. It's just another player that comes in towards the end of their career, and when they can play, they can do things, but it's not part of a view. It's not a future vision. And look, are we being linked to Eriksen because it's another Pochettino deal? I've seen United fans this morning go, I'll take Eriksen, I love Eriksen, I'll take him. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, fuck, this is getting worrying. Harry Kane, now Eriksen. Who have these two people played for? Yeah, Poch. So the first thing I thought when I heard Eriksen, I was like, oh, for God's sake. They're still pushing this Pochettino thing, aren't they? Mark, do you think Gary Neville or other ex-players were asked by the board who next manager should be, says Nicholas Addy? I hope not. I really hope not, because if that is the case, then we're in big trouble, because they've publicly got it wrong very recently in their support for Solskjaer. So I think that I wouldn't be listening to certain ex-players at the moment. I just don't. I think that they are legends, and their understanding of football is going to be very different to ours because they played at the highest level. But that doesn't always mean you've got the best judgment, and their judgment has been exposed over the last 6 months in their support for Solskjaer. Of course, it has. Evening Mark. They just announced the tour of Melbourne. The audacity to charge $129 for the cheap seats, but put on poor performances every game makes me angry. It's all about the money, Maurice. It's all about the money. It's now or never for the United board, says W. Rashford is the new Theo Walcott, says Matthew Everson. And Kane won't leave, can't see it. If he goes, it won't be United, says Millie. Well, that's what I was going to say as well. Maybe we're looking at people like Eriksen now, who's a free contract in the summer. He's a free transfer in the summer. Because, I mean, look, I've heard people talking about Declan Rice this weekend. David Moyes came out again and said he's not for sale. He is for sale. West Ham fans can get upset all they like. He is for sale. They just want as much as they can get for him. Declan Rice will not sign a new contract at West Ham. That's always been the case the last couple of years. He'll probably go and sign one today, but that's always been the story. He won't sign a new contract. So every summer they don't sell him, his value actually drops because at some point that contract's going to run down. And Declan Rice is still in his early 20s, so it's not like he's 29 and he can sit it out if he wants to. So I think Declan Rice could leave West Ham this summer, but why United fans are on about Declan Rice coming to Man United? Again, it's a bit like Harry Kane. I said this yesterday. Harry Kane nearly left left Spurs for Man City last summer because he wanted to win things. And you could sort of understand that. Spurs never win anything and Man City do. So if Harry Kane wants to retire, he's 28, or he's 28 then, he's 29, he's 28 now, he's 29 in the summer. He's only got a few years left. He does have the occasional injury problems, and he probably thought, look, it's my chance to go and win things and play in the Champions League and win Premier Leagues. And you can understand why he wanted to do that. If Harry Kane this summer gets an offer from United and says to Spurs, I want to go, I'm sorry, Harry, hold on a minute. A year ago, everyone's saying, well, fair play, he wants to win trophies. You're just a mercenary. If you're leaving Spurs to come to United, why? Spurs could finish above us, so could be in a better tournament than us. Spurs look better set than us to be finishing higher in the league next year. And Conte, if he stays, is a better coach than we're going to get on paper. So why would Harry Kane leave Spurs to come to Manchester United? United dressing room split over Ten Hag appointment, with some viewing him as underwhelming and overrated, says Luckhurst. Well, it makes you want to throw up, Harris, that does. Makes you want to really throw up if that's the case. I'm glad I'm getting this update. I just want to make sure that it's 100% accurate. But let's have a quick look. Here we go. Manchester United dressing room is split over the possible appointment of Erik Ten Hag as the club's next manager. Well, if we're listening to those prats, we're in trouble. The only people who are overrated and not up to it is them. So I'm just looking to see that. I've definitely seen Man United dressing room is split over the possible appointment of Erik Ten Hag as the club's next manager. But if they've said that, I can't see the overrated bit. A number of United players are excited by the prospect of being coached by Ten Hag and feel he would improve them, but sources close to other players say Ten Hag is viewed as an underwhelming choice by some of them. Oh, for God's sake. I mean, look, it's a paper story at the end of the day, but if some of these players are underwhelmed by Erik Ten Hag, I'd put them in the Gary Neville, Nicky Butt, Teddy Sheringham, Paul Ince camp, where admittedly most of those people have admitted they like Poch because he's more familiar. Erik Ten Hag is underwhelming because they don't watch anything other than Premier League football. The only thing that's underwhelming about Manchester United this season is the players. If they're underwhelmed by Erik Ten Hag, I'm sorry, you've got absolutely no say in this at all. You've just put in a performance like that at the weekend, and you're knocking on the door of the board saying, "Don't get Erik Ten Hag." Are you having a fucking laugh? I mean, these players. Who are they? What have you done in your Man United career? You've won F all. You're the most untechnical bunch of chances we've had in decades, in my lifetime. And you think you've got a say in who the manager should be? You should wake up every morning, look in the mirror and go, I'm the jammiest in the world. I bet they all put Bob Marley on and start singing, I'm jamming, because you're jammy. You're absolutely jammy. You're so jammy. You shouldn't be here. Some of you should be in relegation battles. Some of you should be in the Championship. And you're underwhelmed by Erik ten Hag. This is a guy that's been to a Champions League semi-final, by the way. Most of you never have. This is a guy that's won titles. Most of you never have. This is a guy that Man City would interview. Most of you wouldn't even get into Man City's training ground on a tour. So the fact that some of these players at Manchester United who've inflicted on us one of the most embarrassing seasons in Premier League history are underwhelmed by Erik ten Hag, I actually applaud that story if it's true, because it exposes these players as the complete and utter, arrogant, egotistical, not good enough players that we believe they are. If you think Erik ten Hag is an underwhelming choice as a manager, football is not for you. Whether you want him to be the United manager or not, he's not an underwhelming choice. If you spoke to any football fan across Europe or in the Premier League, if you spoke to Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans about Erik ten Hag and asked them to give an honest opinion, they'd probably go, is he going to be United manager? And you say no. You go, all right, well, yeah, I think he's a fantastic coach. Really exciting, plays really good football. If we didn't have Tuchel or we didn't have Klopp or we didn't have Pep, I'd definitely like to see him at our club. That's what you would get across Europe. But you go in the United dressing room, what do you think about ten Hag? He's underwhelming. I don't know. Have you ever watched Ajax play? No. Did they play in Switzerland? Yeah, that's what you get from United players. Underwhelming. Go and educate yourself. No wonder Rangnick talks about the lack of technicality and physicality. These are chances. Absolute chances. I want Erik ten Hag to be manager, so I'm going to be biased. But even if he wasn't going to be manager, I still think it's utterly appalling that a footballer playing in the Premier League for a team that wants to challenge for Champions Leagues would describe someone like Erik ten Hag as underwhelming. He's one of the most exciting coaches in Europe. Underwhelming. You know what it is? It's the Poch Brigade. And we know who the Poch Brigade are. It's everybody that Poch would like to keep at the club. And I think we all know who they are as well. Ultimately, players that probably should be thinking about getting out of the club because they're stealing a living. Gosh, I mean, yeah. But again, it's more leaks from within the dressing room as well, isn't it? That's what it is. Madness, absolute madness if that's true. And all it will do is create more distrust for the players. But I'll say it again. And we had Paul Ince on the show last week, and he said this. I asked him the direct question. I said, if Sir Alex Ferguson had been thinking about leaving or sacked or anything like that, do you think there would have been discussions with any of the senior players with the board about who the manager should be? And he said, absolutely not. That just wouldn't happen at United. Not because of Sir Alex Ferguson, it just wouldn't happen. It wasn't like that. As a player, you're there to play for the manager and the club. That's your job as a set of players. You've got to have that camaraderie, but you're there to play football. You're not there to be deciding who the manager should be or the vision of the club. You're a pawn in a game of chess. At United, we have factually got senior players in that club who bypass managers to speak to board members about what the vision of the club should be. These United players, they're not United fans, by the way. They're just paid. They're mercenaries. They are paid to be at Man United, and some of them act like it as well. But you go through some of these lads we're paying 200 grand a week to. They're not United fans. They're not. They're just players that we've acquired that we never should have bought, and now we're listening to them on the future of Manchester United. Fucking hell. I mean, we even had Harry Maguire the other week coming out saying when he came to the club, he researched the club and found out all about the Busby Babes and everything like that. I mean, that's great, and I think every player should do that. But it hammers home that these players, they come into this club as strangers. They're not like you or me who know everything about this football club because we live and breathe it. They're talking to people that aren't even United people about where we should be going. And a player, you might listen to a player on who we should appoint as manager, and in 2 years they might be gone. They might want to go somewhere better, or they might be sold. Don't listen to players. They will be biased, and ultimately they don't really care. They're not United fans, and they don't care. Why would you listen to them? It's like a week before Christmas going into the turkey pen and asking one of the turkeys, Which turkey shall I kill for Christmas dinner? Well, don't kill me or my mates. Go and get them lot over there. Yeah, it's ridiculous. You don't speak to players about who the manager should be, and if the club are considering that, I'd be crying. They give something back post by the club of a player handling their shirt to a kid after the game doesn't cut it. Try leaving everything on the pitch, says Glenn Chaplin. And these spoilt brat English players need discipline, says Cardius. But you know what as well? I just wanted to sort of moved away because we had that sort of coming through in the middle as well. People talking about Declan Rice coming to Manchester United. Why the hell would Declan Rice come to Manchester United if we're not even in the Champions League? We may not even be in the Europa League. Why would Declan Rice come to Manchester United unless it's for money? Why would he? Why would he come to Manchester United? And I think we're getting to that point now where we're thinking we're going to sign Declan Rice, and we're thinking about, maybe we'll sign Harry Kane as well. And look, I wouldn't sign either of them. I think they're too expensive for what we're trying to do. We need a big rebuild, not a big signing. But I'd almost look at Rice and Kane and go, why are you coming here? Like, why? We haven't won a trophy in ages. We don't look like we're going to win a trophy in ages. And we're not. You're just coming for the money. You're just another player coming here for the money and the status, because we're not doing anything with you anytime soon. And you could go to better places or stay where you are. All the dressing leaks are now coming out, says Tyrese. Well, I'm bored of the dressing room leaks, Tyrese, because at the end of the day, it's the same old thing, isn't it? Bad result at the weekend. Self-preservation society. They're all coming out trying to protect each other. So let's leak about the manager. Let's leak about this. I mean, there'll be a story about Ronaldo as well. Well, Ronaldo wasn't even ill. There'll be something like that this week as well. They're all the bloody same. They're all scrambling to try and figure out how to be popular. But I'm telling you now, they need to look in the mirror. The only way to get praise from the fan base now is to perform on the pitch. But they're all got these people around them saying, leak this, leak that, protect yourself, protect him, this, that and the other, little cliques. It's tiring. Look at where we are. We are 7th in the league. We are out of the Champions League, and it's not even the quarterfinals kicked off yet. We're out of the FA Cup. We are an absolute embarrassment on the pitch, and nothing you leak. There is no United player that can come out of this situation with any positivity around them at the moment. So leak away. All eyes are on you as the players. Keep your gobs shut. And if you want any positivity, maybe do an Instagram post saying you want Erik ten Hag. That's about it. That's about the only thing that's going to get you any positivity at the moment. But little leaks about not wanting Erik ten Hag, well, you're just going to create negativity for yourselves. It's as simple as that. Will Ronaldo stay, says Rishav. To be honest with you, mate, I was thinking about this last night. I've always said I don't think Ronaldo will stay if we're not in the Champions League. I suppose there's two things, really. One, do you think he'd stay if we're in the bloody Conference League? It's an embarrassment. Two, who's going to buy him? That's the thing. I think if we're not in the Champions League and somebody puts an offer in for Ronaldo, he will go. If we're not in the Champions League and there's no offer, he won't go. And it's just about whether somebody will... whether somebody will or not. Bye, James. See ya. Yeah, it's about whether somebody will or not now. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, good morning to the world of Louis. Thank you very, very much. He's one of our members. As you can see at the top of the chat, I've pinned the link to become a member of the club. This week, our exclusive member content's going to come out. Don't worry, you're not going to lose an 8 o'clock show at night. You're not going to lose a morning show. You're not going to lose a 2 o'clock show. You're not going to lose a match reaction. Nothing is going to be taken off. This is exclusive extra content that will start this week for members behind our member wall. If you are a member of the channel, thank you very much for supporting the channel. You get your little chats, you get your little badges in the chat like the World of Louis, which change every month you're a member. And there's going to be a lot of perks and exclusive content for you as well as community polls that you can vote on the type of content we're going to do as well. You'll know what sort of content it's going to be from tomorrow, and I will reveal that on that video. But thanks everyone who's become a member. Thanks everyone who is a member. Thanks for supporting the channel. And all I can say is that those who do become a member, that support will be used very wisely to improve things on the channel, which you're going to see over the next couple of months as well. So Man United may be dithering, but the United Stand is not. We've got some very exciting things planned, and thank you for all of you who support the channel. If you want to become a member, you can do by clicking that pinned chat there. What if City or Chelsea put in an offer? What do you do then, says Harris. For Rice, you don't get him. Simple as that. You just don't get him. I'm back at 2 o'clock. I'm going to make a couple of phone calls, see what we can find out about these leaks then, now that it's coming out from Manchester Evening News. Of course, we've got a 7 o'clock show tonight because I'm doing Arsenal Palace on That's Football at 8 o'clock tonight. So 7 o'clock show instead of 8 o'clock. In fact, we're 7 o'clock Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because of the Champions League as well. So 7 o'clock shows tonight instead of 8 o'clock, but I've got a 2 o'clock show for you as well. And then we've got a fantastic new career mode starting at 3 o'clock on Twitch, which is a United career mode with Goldbridge in charge and no transfers in the first summer. So I've got to do it with this squad for the first half of the season. So looking forward to that. But I'll speak to you at 10. Thanks, at 2. Thanks for watching.